this afternoon and watched it. I won't say like I paid super attention to it, but I had it on.
Wow, man. What great pros we are.
I can't say I'm going to pay super attention to this show because I got a bunch of articles to write, but
Hello.
I'll be here.
Fightful faith.
That's all I want, man. Just moral support. I'm also going to spend the next 20 minutes watching this game, so it's going to be a hell of a broadcast here we're doing.
Fabro, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you.
It feels like this is going to kill our viewership, these shoot sports. TK has learnt this lesson many a time, you know?
Well, hopefully everyone will come here after the game. It's like 30 minutes. I mean, we'll be on here for like another hour and a half, I'm sure.
Yes. I do need to be off by 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Jeremy, as you know, because I am now a Doyle. Yeah, exactly, right. You know that.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's the thing. I've got some pals in here. I've got 15 people in here. Holy shit. I don't know how I feel about all ego becoming like just a normal thing that JJ does. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I like it, but I'm not sure. My God. Doing the wave and all sorts, man. Both games today, Jeremy, went from 3-1 to 3-3. Like that. Incredible stuff. Great drama.
My team's never blown a 3-1 lead.
It's a very different vibe though, because it happens in 10 minutes in football rather than like a week of just slow fucking. I think that's like when I got into the NBA, that was one of the things that wowed me. Oh my God, one of the things that wowed me was the idea of a 7-game series. When you're learning about it, I remember thinking, oh man, Jeopardy-wise, that's so much better than like, a one-off game. Nah, after living it, it's horrible because you have the days of just anticipation and dread. It's brutal.
Dude, let me tell you, like that series, the OKC series, after Game 6, like the day after was miserable, and then it's a 1-day break, and then it's Game 7. Like Game 7 was just literally like you're just going to your death. You know what's gonna happen, right? Like they're not winning this game. Not after the way they blew Game 6. It's just like okay. Just the anticipation of, look, can we just get this over with? Like, we know what's going to happen. Now it's just a matter of, all right, paper cut me to death, and let's just end this. It's the worst feeling in the world when, like, your team is just losing that game.
See, the Hawks one was different because
you guys won Game 7 or Game 6.
Yes, and not just that. It's like as much as I was relieved when it was over because it was so painful watching them play at that point. I really thought they were going to win Game 7.
Yeah.
Like, they were 1-2 at home, and if nothing else, the Sixers have always been a good home team in this era.
Right.
And it's like, I just thought they would win that game. I'll be honest with you, I was so deflated by Game 5 that I wasn't, like, sitting there begging for a win, because I felt like we were walking to our demise anyway, Right. But I didn't think they were going to lose that game, and they just, like, lost it. And it was such a weird, flat, like, man, they really suck that bad, huh? Like, that's wild. It was... I don't know, man. I'm a firm believer in sometimes it's got to bottom out sometimes, You can't constantly have these kind of band-aids or, well, what if. Sometimes you just got to be losers and move on and accept it in your life. I've done that now. It's good.
I mean, the Sixers are OKC East. I've had that theory for a very long time. And the more, like, the years pass, it just seems like it's just more and more true.
I have big heat with you, Jeremy, by the way.
Oh,
so
no.
we need to discuss this now live on air because I'm very angry and I'm confused and dismayed at some of your branding choices today.
Okay.
I will confront you on them now, okay? Because earlier today, you did a tweet that I read 10 times, and 5 of them I thought it was a meme. The other 5 I thought was an actual brand deal, and I'm still not sure. As you tweeted, giveaway. To enter, retweet this tweet, follow myself, all this good stuff. And I'm like, hang on a second. So Jeremy struck a brand deal. I know that he played Retromania. I watched him play it.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a real thing. And then I read, bonus entry if you reply to this post with your favourite NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, is this like a joke within an actual brand deal?
Yes.
Good. Is this forced on you to write the NWA part? You did that to pop yourself, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I accept that. I was very confused. I was like, this feels too... Like, it felt like a tweet you designed purely to pop me. And I was like, this feels like a real thing he's doing. I don't know.
I mean, the giveaway is 100% real. I have, if you don't have a PS4, if you have a Nintendo Switch and want a Retromania game, I have a code for that as well. I'll be doing that giveaway later on in the week. But Yeah, because that game has all this and the NWA title and the 10 pounds of Quest Gold, whatever it's called. I thought, like, all right, well, what if I do a bonus entry by name your favorite champion? And obviously, the bit is the same belt held by Funk, Race, Briscoe, Flair, Aldous, and Holbert. So.
I think you missed Rhodes that
Oh,
time.
I did miss Rhodes. Shit, we always miss one. Every single
Yeah,
time.
it's hard,
Yeah.
man. Aldous is good at it. He's
Yeah,
he never
I didn't
misses.
give him enough credit.
Just that's the whole gig of being NWA champ. Just memorise the 6 most famous champs.
So yeah, the bonus entry thing was just a thing to completely pop myself and of course
Fair.
the people. I will say, like, spoiler, not spoiler, if you do get the answer correct on your favorite, because there is a correct answer, if you do get it correct, you actually get a double bonus entry. So if you want 2 bonus entries, give the correct answer. People are naming like AJ Styles and Christian Cage and Abyss and all this stuff. Like, what? You got to name the actual people who have held it.
Wow, wait, why are you being so dismissive of NWA TNA, brother?
I mean, Nick Aldis doesn't recognize them. Why should I?
He doesn't, you're right. Does Billy Corgan recognise them, do you think?
No, absolutely not.
No.
No.
Genuine question. Does Billy Corgan have a dartboard with the Impact Wrestling logo on it?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
And what flyers are on the darts that he throws? Like Dixie Carter or some shit?
I was gonna say, like, the
TNT.
dartboard, like, he not only has it like just with the logo, but then like he's got the smaller spaces, like the point spaces are, that it's got like Dixie Carter on there, and
Bruce Pritchard.
yeah, like all Hogan, all these guys, like, yeah, 100%.
Okay, Bruce hasn't got heat with Billy. Aldis has, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Bruce is probably still there, right?
Bruce is he's Bruce, right?
Yeah.
No one really likes Bruce. They just enjoy him. It's different things. We're at half time almost, folks, of extra time. We will be reviewing Dynamite today, apparently. I've watched it twice. Jeremy's watched it twice. I do have notes somewhere. I should probably get those for when we start doing it. Until this game is over, though, we're probably going to just stall and talk about
Yes, 100%.
many other things other than that. But we will get there. Probably in 15 minutes' time, we'll be ready to go. Unless there's penalties, in which case it'll be 20 minutes' time.
Joel says, does Aldous even recognize me? Yeah, he has my email, and he emails me when he needs stuff to yell at my boss.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So he definitely recognizes
Did you
me.
see this shit that Sean Rossett pulled on Twitter last night?
He does a lot of dumb shit. What did he do last night?
I was pitching my angles, talking about wanting to manage Anthony Ogogo and/or be the little brother of All Ego Ethan Page.
Yeah.
And he's like, at Official Ego, here's some vlog content for you. Why are we trying to make this a thing? Why are we doing this? But maybe, we'll see.
Ethan Page would, like, probably...
I could end up on Dynamite, let's be honest about this.
Yeah.
It could happen, right?
Ethan Page would, like, probably do something if it's like a good bit, because one, like, he's just very friendly. He's always about the content, and like he's a very friendly dude. I'll never forget that when we did the Larry tribute show last year after his passing, like, he joined us for that and just had very kind words to say about Larry and wrestling media people in general and stuff. So, like, he's very good with that stuff. I could legitimately see him and I know, like, he knows Sean and everything. I could legitimately see him, like, recording something. I was in an Ethan Page vlog, Sean or Joseph.
You was?
Yeah. At WrestleCade in 2019. Yeah, I was there. I mean, I didn't do a bit or anything, but I made a cameo appearance in the vlog.
Last night I made a lot of jokes about it, and I'm going to obviously review his match tonight. And I think we probably both enjoyed the match because it was some old school TV wrestling, right?
Yeah.
A great big guy fighting Ethan Page, and Ethan's begging off like he's an 80s heel. It's great. But it's like, I think there's genuinely a conversation to be had. And I don't intend to do this tonight because, God forbid we like wrestling. I think he's the modern wrestler in a very positive sense. And I think there are old school guys that would dismiss him and are being very ignorant. And what I mean by that is, I look at how he brands himself. I look at how he tries to resonate and connect with his own fan base. I look at his general attitude toward the business. I look at the sense that he still includes a lot of tradition and old school pro wrestling goodness, while also setting trends in terms of how he brands himself on YouTube and gives himself a platform. Look, man, there's a lot to be learnt there. You know, you can roll your eyes. Oh, played by Julie. Grow up. You know, like, I mean, because when I watch that dude on TV, I never think he's playing a character, and that's the way I ask him. When you're on the show, perform with a commitment that like lets me sink my teeth into it, and I think he's great at that. But Josh Alexander is also awesome. Baseball's best. I don't think. I get why you want a North reunion, but like I think Josh is a really good fit in Impact right now, and I actually think he can climb the card. I really think Josh can get up the Impact card. AEW, I feel like he's, you know. I also like the Men of the Year as an act too. I think it's another great team for Ethan to me. So there you go. I lost 10 viewers doing that Ethan Page stuff. So hopefully someone clips it, ats him in it, and then gets me an actual gig on Dynamite.
I think I'm going to Dynamite. I haven't decided. So Dynamite's in Pittsburgh.
Brits, I think they call it Britsburg.
Yeah, sorry. August 11th. And Rampage, the debut episode of Rampage is August 13th. Pittsburgh's only like an hour and a half away, and I didn't realize that. So I think I'm going to it's either going to be Dynamite and Rampage or just Rampage. But I think I'm going to those shows in Pittsburgh because there's a Pittsburgh Comic-Con that weekend as well. There you go, Cody. You're going to be there. I'm going to at least one of those shows, Cody. So we will meet up and hang out and take more pictures and stuff like that. Yeah, Rampage is a live show. Yes.
I saw this. Are they calling Wednesday night fan appreciation night or some shit?
Yeah.
$10, dude. I get they've burnt the territory by running it every week. Have you seen the level of talent that's on that show? Like that's a bonkers show, man. For $10, it's wild. I mean, when you've got King and Penta versus the Bucks and it isn't a main event, like you got a pretty good lineup for TV, you know?
Is that not the main event? They got a headline with Miro against Pillman?
Sammy and MJF, bro.
Oh, I forgot that match.
Yeah, it's that strong. Like, and I mean, look, the Vicky thing's obviously the shits, but it could be a surprise.
Yeah. I
hope so.
And MJF was on that. Yeah, the tag match will probably open, right?
Right.
And
that's
that
some
might
world
headline.
class. It might, yeah.
I don't know.
It's not for the title though. So
no, it's not for the title. Yeah, it's a good show. Right? Like,
yeah, very good. Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about the Saturday Night Dynamite here in a second, but like, you know, the Friday night shows were what they were. You know, it was.
Yeah, they were maintenance shows. They were just steady, right? Like
yeah. They weren't going to give away too much. The energy wasn't great for them. Like, that first one was like live, and it's like, man, people just ain't into this 10 o'clock shit. And I don't blame them at all. So yeah. But the Saturday night show, it felt like, all right, Dynamite's like back. And I expect the Wednesday shows to continue that, especially once they get on the road. I'm sure they'll have like a real banger show on Wednesday as the final one at Daly's before they start touring, and then they're doing 4 specials in July and stuff.
Right. And that first one, I mean, look, I'm not huge on the QT Cody feud, but they're doing a strap match, and Ethan and Darby are doing a coffin match. Yeah. So like, they're setting the tone for what you and I previewed many a time, which is like, they're going to go all out on these specials, man. Like, it's, you're going to get some pay-per-view stuff.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I'm shocked they're doing Bucks against Kingston and Penta this week, because we thought that was going to be headlining one of these specials, and I guess it still could if King and Penta win, but it seems weird that they do it and then they'd run it back less than a month later as a title match, because usually they just don't do that kind of stuff.
So they've been pretty consistent in when they advertise the match where it's like, if the champs lose, there's a title match.
Yeah.
The champs win.
Yes.
And I like that. It does feel like, while I wouldn't pick them, Penta and King are live underdogs here, though. Because for the reasons you just said. Like, and I also think, like, Penta got pinned by Cole, I want to say, in the 6-man. Like Kingston hasn't got like a pin over any of them, as far as I know. Oh my god. King, so I think they could win, and it could be run back on a Fighter Fest or whatever the hell. So they got so many options tag team wise, right? Like it's pretty. I think they could main event one of these shows with PNP and FTR. I think that angle's red hot.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, and we'll talk about it more. But it's definitely something that could definitely main event one of these shows easily, because it got a lot. Like, I was hot before, especially with the vignette that they ran the other week.
Mm-hmm.
But like the angle they did on Saturday was tremendous.
I talk about this a lot, and I am not good enough at explaining what I mean. But there is an art to professional wrestling that is most valuable when you're shooting an angle, And when I watch the FTR boys shoot that angle, and again, we'll review this, folks, but I'm just like, man, they're just so good at wrestling, Like the way that they do their stuff. And then when you pair it with the pure authenticity and, like, just personality of PNP, it's like, this is just a money dynamic. I'm so glad it's... Do you remember when they first came in during FTR and they were doing, like, the tour of AEW tag teams? They, like, wrestled Lucha Bros, wrestled, Butcher and Blade and all that.
Yeah.
They didn't do this match, and I'm so glad, because now it feels like an actual... feud, and this tag division with so many teams, it needs non-title feuds. They've done it pretty well consistently. This is one of the best ones they've done yet, I think. Obviously, we haven't even seen them have a match yet. That's the coolest part about it. Yeah, New York's it could be JR. I do not know. That's what I was selling a moment ago. That miss. I'm trying to, like, when stuff happens, I'm trying not to sell too big, because I don't know when the times and the fucking, I don't want to spoil it, Phil. Yeah,
I'm watching. I don't know which miss. There were two that he missed. Like, there was the one at the top where it went wide right, and then there was the one where he was in left, and he.
Yeah, that's the one I was.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, so you're probably way ahead of me,
one.
which is fine. You're probably way ahead of me, which is fine.
Yeah, we'll hear him. Terrestrial television.
I don't care if it gets spoiled. I don't. I know.
I'm just worrying. I actually don't know how many people in the chat give a shit about this game at all. I'm just, I'm playing it safe. PNP for the titles in New York. Yeah, that feels like a good call, man. I don't know who the Bucks work at All Out in that case. That's my only thing, because you got to do All Out, and then like 2-3 weeks later is the New York show. So you got to figure that mix out. I don't know.
Who are you rooting for, JR? JR fan of one of these teams?
Oh, he's definitely going for Switzerland just to get rid of France.
Oh, okay.
Big, it would be another big team out.
Oh yeah.
England. The thing with England is they're playing Germany, and no Englishman can be like truly confident about that game. But we can win that game, and if we win that game, the tournament has opened up for us. Like the bracket is kind of, it's knockout football. It's very hard, but it's kind of friendly to us if we get past this one. So like tomorrow night in England, it will be a bloodbath if they lose. I'm gonna be honest with you. People are gonna be fighting on the streets.
What time's the game tomorrow?
That is noon for you, Eastern time.
Oh, okay. I'll watch that.
Yeah, I mean, it should be pretty heated. It should be pretty fun.
I'll have it on. How much I pay?
They could do a screwy PNP Bucks finish and then blow it off in New York with a ladder match. Saying, hey, that works. Yeah, I'm for that. Or I think they could do that more often anyway, man. I know people hate rematches, but you don't have to do everything as like a one-off. You can do some. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
Like, some things do need exploring in a program. Like, you don't have to just be like, we've just done a 25-minute match, we have nothing left to achieve with these two, now we'll move on. Like, you can build, like, PNP and FTR could have a match, then they could have a street fight. Like, my fear is they're just going to do a street fight and be like, that's the match, now what do we do?
I mean, they did fucking, what was the Blood and Guts, and then they came back with Stadium Stampede. Like, if you can do it with that, I'm pretty sure you can do it with, lesser, just like singles feuds and stuff. I will say this about like Jericho, like his feuds will kind of do that, because he did the trilogy with Orange Cassidy, essentially.
Absolutely. Yep.
And like it feels like he's one of the rare guys that'll sort of do that with that's how far behind I am, because I heard you sweat it just like 30 seconds beforehand, but like it feels like his feuds are the exception to their typical rule, where it's like, all right, one match, we're done, we'll never see this again.
And the other thing with Jericho is, and like we can talk about this because in the review it's just a segment on the show, but Chris is not, he's a very flawed guy, okay? And we don't need to get into that here. Everyone in the chat knows the situation. His wrestling mind, it's not what it was maybe, but like he's still got, because if you look at how he's done this feud over the last 6 weeks, dude, he has made Sammy's leaving this thing a monster babyface.
Yeah.
Like, we both know enough to know that Jericho his hands are all over it. Like, how many times has Sammy got to save the hero's moment? Like, Chris is good at that shit, man. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not like a mega Chris Jericho fan anymore, to be honest. A lot of time he comes out and I'm like, oh, he's just not my thing. Without all the other stuff getting involved, like just the character, I'm just kind of done. But he's still got the brain to know where to position shit to get the right guy over. And I commend him for that because, you know, he gets a lot of fair shit, a lot of unfair shit. In this particular case, Sammy is getting over huge, and the only people pretending otherwise are being a little bit deluded, right? Whether you're a fan of Sammy or not, he's getting over.
Joseph, we got to talk about, the legend Luther basically just like giving us a shout out on Talk is Jericho.
He's a great guy, you know? A tremendous guy is the Luther. Always been very nice to us. Doesn't surprise me at all. It really doesn't. I will say, though, that my brother sent it to me and was like, he didn't even mention the distraction. What the fuck? I was like, well, Jeremy sent it to me in a much more positive light, but okay.
Luther, like, you know, we did that shit like months ago. And I remember he was in the chat and he's like, oh yeah, I mentioned this on a podcast interview. And I'm like, who is asking Luther about a Fire Pro stream and shit, right? Like, and I messaged the New Legacy guys because I know they're friends with him as well. And I was like, did you guys talk to Luther about this? He's like, no, but this sounds awesome. I was like, yeah. This was months ago. And then so, you know, the Talk is Jericho episode comes out and I was just so surprised. The first thing, like legit, the first thing that's on that interview is, yeah, wrestled Okada, 47-minute match, Fire Pro Wrestling, 5 stars. And Jericho's like, huh? Like, Fire Pro? And then they just have this discussion about Fire Pro and stuff. And I was like, dude, like, he mentioned a gimmick we did on fucking Talk is Jericho. Like, say what you will about, again, the Jericho stuff. Like, that's a big podcast, right? Like, for him to just, give us an indirect shout that way, like, I don't know. It felt pretty cool.
I also, look, the thing with that stuff is, and I never talk about it on Twitter because, God forbid, I don't need that shit in my mentions, but, like, you do enough interviews to know this in terms of transcribing and just listening to what the guys say. Dude, Jericho's still, like, a beloved guy in the locker room.
Yeah.
Like, you can think whatever you want about his beliefs and he's, like, dumb shit on Twitter. Like, dude, the younger guys still really adore him. So, maybe he's not as far gone as people think. Maybe he's lets, you know, some of his other shit slip a little bit more in the last year. But I get why completely. If you're a fan and you're like, I can't put that stuff aside, I get that completely. Me personally as a fan, I've just struggled to enjoy him more because I just think his performance has dipped. But what I would say is that dude is still just as impactful in a locker room as he was 15, 20 years ago. You can tell, you know, like you don't have to look very far to know how influential he is.
Dude, I was listening to a Penta interview today, and it was subtitled. Like, I legit listened to this whole interview and just read the subtitles for the whole thing. So I was listening to Penta interview, and, like, he talks, like, glowingly of Jericho. And I know Jericho has said, like, shit to him in Phoenix during the early days of AEW of, like, you guys got to, like, follow some rules here and, like, you know, actually make these matches mean something and stuff. And Penta is still just like, oh, yeah, Jericho, he's so sharp. I'd love to have a one-on-one match with him. Like, everyone still wants to wrestle him and shit and work with him. And they all talk about how, like, yeah, we go to Jericho for advice and all this stuff. Like, he still commands that locker room.
Yes. And it is also worth saying, I can't believe we're doing, like, the Jericho celebration show, but I will say, too, of all of the wrestling legends you could have as your first, like, leader legend guy, in terms of wrestling philosophy, Jericho is one of the greats to have because he's pretty selfless for a guy of his star power. You know, he's a guy who experienced famously in WCW what it's like when you have older guys that don't want to play ball with the younger stars.
Yeah.
Like, dude, how early into Dynamite did he do this stuff with Jungle Boy? I mean, that set the precedent for where we are now.
He was champion, so very early.
Yeah, like, you know, I didn't love the Orange Cassidy stuff, but it was shit that he made a point of doing. I didn't think he did it like a particularly great job of it because it was kind of, to me, it was too goofy to get over the way it could have. But it still was a case of him just mentality-wise being a good example, you know? The GOAT, JJ, has extended his subscription. Through to August. My God, what a commitment that is.
For 2 months. My God. Thank you, JJ. Appreciate you, buddy.
Big commitment.
JJ, head of PR here at the Distraction offices.
This is a great question here. Is Jericho the greatest wrestler who's never actually been the guy? So, I guess the thing with that would be, and I assume you would mean like draft board style, most like all-round talent, right? Where it seems like the logical way of approaching the question. He's a guy that's an all-time promo, a reliable big match wrestler. Even if I will say this, Jeremy, I think in ring, I do think sometimes Chris's reputation is a little wild in ring. You know when he gets paired with Eddie and Dean and the other guy?
Yeah.
He's like, he was never like their level of worker to me.
No.
He was a personality, and that's more useful. But I have always thought that. So I would say that much, but like he's still a guy that you trust in the main event to have a great match, right? In his prime, especially. He's got to be up there. I don't know. I mean, what does that list look like? Who are the other kind of titans on the never the guy list? What do you think?
Triple H.
I don't know if you could even say he was never the guy, because I feel like he tried so often you might just be like, yeah, sure, man, you were the guy. You know? It's like Ray is a guy that I do think, even though when he was younger he was not a great promo, I do think because of how WWE used him, people think there's no way you could build around him, and it's like, you probably could have done some crazy business building around Ray, bro. Like, he was incredible. Foley's a good call. Foley was wonderful, wasn't he?
Foley, yeah. Foley, that's definitely good.
And he's the only guy, I would say, one of the only guys that I mentioned Chris as a wrestling legend philosophy-wise. Like, Foley is even higher than him. He's always been the most selfless dude, you know? Daniel Bryan. The thing with Bryan is, I agree he was never like the guy because Cena was there. But like to me, when you get like a WrestleMania closing moment like that, you're kind of the guy. I know that doesn't make sense. I know. That's why I'm not going to say it was a bad suggestion, Bill's Mafia, but like my brain is kind of like, that's like the ultimate babyface coronation, you know? WrestleMania closing main event.
Yeah. Michaels was definitely the guy in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, 95 the whole year, right?
Yeah.
No, 96.
Yeah, 96.
95.
Even 97 with like the DX stuff. Like he was still like the top guy in the company.
Taker's an interesting one because I don't know when you would like when would you? Because I think he shouldn't count because like he's been close enough, but I don't know what you'd cycle and be like that's it. That's when he was the guy.
Like the Dead Man run. Not the. I mean, fuck. Sorry.
Doesn't really isolate many years for me, that Jeremy.
The badass run, like he was the champion. He was the undisputed champion and shit. So, like, I feel like he was definitely
that's
like.
Fair. The roster was in transition too, so like some of the big guns weren't around.
Yeah, like I don't think Rock was there as often during that period. Like Austin really wasn't as often. Like Taker was kind of carrying things during that period. Savage
is a good call because like Savage was always Hogan never let him just be.
Yeah.
like he got the Bryan coronation, but he had Hogan right there with him, which would be like if Cena was out there for Mania 30. You know, like Orton's an interesting one. Orton's one run as like the guy on a brand, not the company, because Cena was still there, was when he was the babyface on SmackDown, which critically produced some of his best work with Christian and that. But like, dude, business-wise, it was a catastrophe. I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure business significantly improved when Mark Henry won the belt. So, I don't know. Savage, by the way, I mean, I don't know about you, Jeremy. I'm always going to take Savage over Hogan if I'm just like talking my own fandom, but we have to be realistic about, like, in terms of what they meant to the company. He never surpassed Hogan.
No, not at all. I'm with you. Like I'm taking Savage all day. But yeah, he was never as big as Hogan, and I mean that was a Hogan thing. He was never gonna let Savage be as big as him. But yeah, I don't think he was ever like quite like the 90s or the 80s and early 90s are kind of weird because like technically like Piper was never the guy, and I mean everyone's obviously gonna speak glowing. Like Hogan was just like there's no other argument for anybody else during that era. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about, oh yeah, Bryan got his WrestleMania closing moment. Like, Taker kind of had a little bit of stretch here. Michaels had a couple years. Brett had a couple years. Like, dude, for like a good decade, it was just like, it's just Hogan. Like, it doesn't matter who else is in the territory. Like, Hogan was the guy that entire time.
Yeah, and then by comparison, you mentioned the Dead Man stuff or the Badass stuff, whatever the hell. The early 2000s, when like Rock and Austin phase out, I feel like you can name a bunch of guys. Like,
Yeah.
Greg mentioned Angle. Like, you could argue Kurt was the guy. Because when like he comes back from his injury, he's like the top babyface for SmackDown, and SmackDown's red hot. You know, you got Brock there. That's when they very much started transitioning to a group effort. And then when Brock was gone, it was like, I guess saying that though, Cena was very singular. The brand stuff muddies the waters on this because Batista was like the guy of blue and Cena was the guy of red. Like it's a little bit different then, you know?
Cena was definitely like the face of the company, even with Batista there. Like, he was still like the top face of everything. But yeah, the brand split does kind of, all right, this person is the guy. I wonder in terms of like, okay, what are people like talking about as the guy? Because if like, I can kind of see an argument for saying like, okay, Brett and Michaels were never like that guy, but like they were never. Yeah, they were the guy. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So is the follow up here from our pal Anra, who's the second half of the name I always cower from. Said, I think the thing with Jericho is he was rarely in the top 2 or 3, never mind the guy. So I think a good way to look at it is, were they ever top baby or heel on a brand? Jericho, when he was doing the like sociopathic thing, became that, right?
Yeah, when he was working with Michaels and he was the champion.
Yeah. Does he have one other than that? Because like I know he was undisputed champ, but we all know that was kind of like
right.
It was kind of phony shit, right? It wasn't like real top heel shit.
Yeah. Pro Wrestling G, appreciate the raid, man. Hope everyone coming in, doing well. We're watching the Euro Cup, and maybe we'll eventually get around to reviewing Dynamite.
Dude, I just can't sell the pens. I don't want to spoil them. I'm gonna try not to even react slightly. I would say the guy would be synonym for the ace of the company. See, I agree with that. It's just it's difficult in the modern age where it's all content filling. It's like it's very hard, you know. Like, who's the guy in AEW? We're gonna sit here and name 25 people. You know, Bear Bronson,
Darby Allin.
Is it Moxley? Do you think?
I mean, I feel like we'll always kind of go Moxley, but Darby Allin's the one main event in every show.
He is.
I think this is the penalty that's like excellent, and I'm watching it.
Yes, the Pogba one.
The Pogba, yeah. I like his little twinkle toes stutter step.
Do you like that he has blue at like he has the highlight in his hair and he has blue at the front because he plays for France? Did you see that?
I did see
details.
That. Yeah.
It's a detailed business, brother.
I like his Dennis Schroeder tribute with his hair.
Such a diss compared to Paul Pogba to Dennis Schroeder.
I don't know who this Pogba guy is, alright? Could be Dennis Schroeder for all I know.
Paul's hairline is about a foot lower on his head than Schroeder's.
It is.
By the way, what about Dame? Holy shit.
Who?
Dame Lillard, man. Wow.
He's going to look really good as the third option in OKC next to Shea and Poku. Cannot wait.
I like that. I like that a lot. I like that Poku was included. I was hoping he would be.
Yeah. Poku's the top option. I mean, bless Shea, but the whole offense is running through him, man.
Dude, I saw it in the chat. Like, the Simmons Australia thing is honestly one of the funniest. Like, since I've been watching basketball, they've been waiting for him to come and play with them, and every season he's like, no, I have this going on now.
He's got to work on his free throws and shit.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Do we actually think a package of Ben and Maxi and or Matisse with some picks does it for Dame?
It depends on what...
Right, it's not a bad package. I know I'm biased, but it's like it's okay, right?
It depends on obviously what Portland is going for, because obviously you're not going to get equal value for Dame. Like, he's an established superstar. Like, OKC could offer just about every pick in the book. I don't think they're offering up Shea because it almost defeats the purpose. Like, if you're going to offer up Shea as well.
Yeah.
Like, they have the draft capital to offer if they want to do that. Like, what other options are out there that feels like? Because I mean, look, Simmons has his flaws and everything, right? But I mean, the dude is still young, still a guy who could average a triple double if he actually gets aggressive and goes to the rim and stuff. Like, he has the physical tools that just a lot of players don't have, and defensively, he's obviously an issue. And then I think Maxey and Tyball, they're fine. You're getting like, those draft picks aren't going to be good. That's the thing. Like, they're just not going to be good draft picks.
And that's it. Yeah. But the problem is you want to. Ideally, Dame's going to want to go to a contender, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's going to be very hard draft-wise unless you go way in the future to get picks that seem enticing. So that becomes difficult in itself, doesn't it?
Right. So again, but like, what are other teams offering? I think
that's it.
I think if you're if you're any team, like, you got to give up. You're obviously going to have to give up a lot. But like, do the Clippers offer like Paul George for him?
I guess so. I don't know. Like, Paul George is really good, so I guess that would work. The Clippers are just such a big franchise. Like, I don't know where they're at. I know you don't, and I get why, but I kind of feel for them because it's like, this really probably should have been their year after all.
I actually, like, because of the Kawhi injury, I do kind of like feel for them.
Yeah, it sucks, right? You don't want to see teams with their best players out. It's just
right. Yeah. So, like, I think the Clippers are honestly, they're just going to be like, oh man, if we had Kawhi, we would have won the title. We're just going to run it back. And like, I'm on board with that approach. Honestly, I think that's probably the correct approach to have. I'm just trying to think of like what other teams can offer them, because like you got to include draft picks. You probably got to get like a young player in return, right? So you got to get a young player or a player who's still going to kind of make your franchise relevant, unless you're just going to do a complete teardown. Like, so do the Kings? Did they offer like De'Aaron Fox in draft picks? I don't know if Dame wants to go to Sacramento.
That's the thing with, and again, I'm obviously biased, guys. Do not think I'm trying to suggest I'm not. But the one thing that is good about the Sixers for him is like, he's going to another MVP level player.
Yeah.
So it's like, you have, no matter who they put around Dame and Embiid, they're going to be pretty formidable, right? Like, he's one of the great guards and one of the great big men. Like, when you look at these other ones, he's basically, in a lot of the ones I've read, and that was one of them, in fact, he's going to just like another situation that's like Portland, where they're going to try and build a team around just him. That's not really ideal. It doesn't really solve anything for him. He wants to win, you know?
Yeah, so, but if you're the Blazers, I mean, no offense to them, but like,
you don't give a shit.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. You don't, unless I don't think he has like any type of no trade clause. So like, you're making the best deal for the team, right? Like, after that, because he's in a deal, so it's not like a team like what's Dame's contract? I'm gonna look this up.
The thing is, the Portland Trailblazers trying to like retool around Ben could be kind of interesting, because CJ could play perfectly as Ben's two guard. Like, he would actually be the perfect two guard for Ben. You know, you've got, I don't know, I'd have to sit down and look at it.
Is Dame's not a free agent? Okay, no, Dame's not a free agent. He's on a 5-year deal, dude. Like, so if you're trading for this guy, you're not worried at all about like, oh, he might leave us after one season. Like, he's got another 4 years. He's got another 4 years left on this deal before he can become an unrestricted free agent. So like, if you want him, you got a 4-year kind of window to try to build around him and everything. So
some shit just happened, Jeremy.
I see this. I see the chat, which is fine.
Some shit just happened that if it happened in the United States of America, Skip Bayless would do a 3-hour show on, because football's wonder kid, megastar, sports centerpiece.
Oh, it's Mbappe.
Yep, he just missed the pen after not scoring a goal in the whole tournament. And that's a big contrast to his Superstar World Cup 3 years ago. So that's a moment for his career. And I love watching that guy play. I'm not dunking him. I'm just saying that's a That's some big shit that just happened right there. Look, it's penalties. Weird stuff happens in penalty shootouts. That's why you don't want to let them go to the penalty shoot. Hey, Jeremy, remember back in the day when any time a decision would happen, Dana White would be like, never let it go to the scorecards. You never let it go to a penalty shootout. Okay, we're going to review Dynamite now. We've done 40 minutes. We've done a 40-minute broadcast here, advertising. And you know what, in fairness, our viewership has been really consistent. We appreciate that, guys. And I don't know all of you give a shit about this. In fact, very few of you do.
I mean, we kept talking about... We were talking wrestling the whole time, so...
There you go.
All right, let's review Dynamite. We got an hour and 15 minutes to review this show.
Okay.
No longer an analyst. As you take your glasses off.
To be honest, I mean, it's a 5-match show, right? So...
Yeah.
And they're not like long matches, some of these, so we should be fine.
And you know my commentary is just giving it. That's good.
Indeed. So, do we agree at least that the opening of this show was like hysterical when Sean Spears was like doing his serial killer thing and dragged the steel chair along the floor like it was like a murder mystery weapon? That popped me very much. It was a terrible chair shot, which was also awesome.
I did like that he dragged it. Like this was his it's obviously his weapon of choice, but it's like his machete that you just drag on the ground, so you know that like, oh, I'm coming with this chair right here. Like it's the warning. It's like Omar coming with the steel chair here.
It's worth knowing, Jeremy, that our pal, the Confirmed Shoe, he's like a Sean Spears super fan. Folks that watch the show will know him as the man that goes, yeah, really loud for a long time. He's t-shirt level deep on Sean Spears, which pops me very, very much. But anyway, that was tremendous. It popped me. It was not what I would call good in any way, shape, or form, but it was very funny. And then we transitioned to the ring for the powerhouse Hobbs and the Hangman Page. Jeremy, you're a guy that pops for like little moments of wrestling goodness. You don't want, an epic or a masterpiece. Did you pop as much as I did when Hobbs came out talking that shit? Like, just immediately, on arrival, was just looking at the crowd like, look, I'm going to kick the shit out of this guy. Did you see this, dude?
I love when anybody just comes out and just talks shit. It's great, right? Like, get into it. Like, own that shit. It was fantastic. I love Powerhouse Hobbs. He fucking rules.
I'm now going this way because I have to turn my thing on. Hang on a second. Yes, he's great. He's very much a case of a guy who... He's not playing a character, right?
No, he's just there to whoop somebody's ass.
Yeah, he exudes like just badass energy. He's great. He's also stylistically fun. So in this, another thing that popped me was, did you hear Jim Ross when he said, "It's time for some cowboy shiznit"?
Yes,
did you hear that?
It did. Not only did he say it, but like he got Shivani, and Shivani definitely was it Shivani or Excalibur. I was like, good one, good job, Jim. One of them. Where was like
Shivani, I believe. Yeah. And then they started just like talking about Saturday Night Wrestling. Taz was like, okay, you guys, get one of your numbers and just do this. No, you're right, Andrew. You're correct. I believe Hobbs was brought in as just an extra for the pandemic stuff, and he's a guy they found. I'm pretty sure, right? I mean, I know WWE had talked with him before, but like, he wasn't brought in as like an acquisition, right? He just came in and did some matches, and this guy's cool. He's different. Yes, I did see that, actually. I saw the thing where Hangman sold getting the number one contender spot with his face, which was very interesting. The sort of thing that if you tweet about it, you'll get like 50 quote tweets being like, LOL, you guys are dorks, but it's actually very good wrestling. Hobbs, what pops about Hobbs is he's really quite traditional as a wrestler, right? Like, he does all this kind of like old school big man power shit, and that's what the match is initially. He hits hard, but not in the way we're used to guys hitting hard nowadays, where they like slap their thigh and do a big elaborate kick or punch. He just sort of whacks guys. Like, there's this moment on the outside of the ring that he did with Christian too, where he just like clubbed him in the back of the head.
Yes.
Like, he just looked like he killed him with it. I don't know how funny he is to wrestle. I probably will never find out. I hope not, anyway. But his stuff looks great, and it looks different more than anything. He targets the Hangman's arm because he does the lariat, which makes sense. And then something bizarre happens where they do like, he takes the post, right? Like, and it seemed as though Hangman was unsure as to whether to take it on his left side or his right side. So he ended up just going head first into the post, and immediately I was concerned that he was like concussed. He may well have been, because his head was pouring blood. And there was a moment here where they were trying to do the spot where Hangman would pull him into the pose, and Hangman just like fell down. And I was like, oh, this could be real bad. And they had to force an awkward camera cut to get away from it. I was worried at this point, but he quickly kind of just, I don't know what he did. He figured out where he needed to be, and the match rolled on. Blood is, especially like shoot halfway blood, is not ideal. But man, does it add some drama to matches like this? Like this energy changed when blood was pouring out of his head. They got back to neutral, and Hangman was throwing those big boots, and like Hobbs is just like he's shrugging it off. It's all very, very cool. I like the bit where Starks comes out with the belt, and Hobbs is like, sure, this cheat, you know, like rather than all this recent melodrama with Cage, he was just like, finally, I can cheat and win this thing, get out of here. That was cool. Obviously, Cage prevented it, and Ricky had the best 15 seconds of wrestling television ever, where he like scrambled, held his neck. Just all of it was funny. It was tremendous. He's great at those like maximizing the moment stuff. He's one of his best traits. They then did the Great Falls finish. They completely fucked up with the camera work, where they did a cut in the middle of the spine buster, which was very sad because Hobbs' spine buster is one of the best in wrestling.
That was such a good spot too, because it looked like, oh yeah, distraction, Hangman catches him, and that might be the finish. And instead, like, Hobbs was able to, you know, regain his wits about him, hit the spine buster, and like that was such a great near fall. And yeah, they missed it.
It wasn't ideal. But Hangman rallied, big German suplex, dead eye for the win. Didn't use the lariat because the arm was a thing. I like that, and also it was counter before. That was all good. The story there appeared to be kind of, and I think they've done this with Hobbs before, both as baby and heel. The idea that every time he extended his range and tried to do something a bit daring, whether it was a crossbody or the diving headbutt, he paid the price for it. It's not his thing. Which frames it as a matter of experience, which I always enjoy in my wrestling. I really like what Hobbs gives them, because as much as I enjoy the kind of the bangers, as they say, the kids say these days, that a Brian Cage can provide, it is sometimes nice just to have a great big fella that just beats people up. And he doesn't wrestle like everyone else. And I think that's cool. We have a lot of wrestlers in AEW. Variety is the spice of life. Sometimes I just want to see a big guy just whack a guy in the back of the head, you know? I think, I didn't think this was like I went on social briefly after, and I saw people getting really, really fired up. I was good. Very good even. Nothing more than that. But, like, I get why people liked it, because it's it's a fresh heel working a babyface that's red hot. It's pretty simple pro wrestling, and the babyface overcame, he got the win. And as we mentioned in the chat earlier, he sold the idea that he's number one contender again, which is also very good. Hangman's great at those little details. Jeremy, I thought this is something you'd enjoy. This was good, right?
I enjoyed this match.
Good job. We then went to a clip of the YouTube show. This frustrates when they do this, even though I know why they do it. Where they do the thing where it's like, we made this really good YouTube program, we're going to show 15 seconds of it on the show. And I get it, I understand, you want to keep the show rolling, but like sometimes I just wish they'd trust the content and commit to it. But I understand, you got a lot to go on. They did a little bit of that video package with the Kenneth from the Jungle Boy. We spoke about it on the Distraction last Thursday. What a job Kenny did in this program of just being so absurd and outlandish and so obnoxious that Jungle Boy was so likeable as just shy of Jungle Boy Man. Jungle Boy Man. The Young Bucks are also very good at this, and Kai Hill promo, which in anyone's language was tremendous. Just the absolute biggest dickheads in wrestling. Being a dick to Cutler even, who's like their biggest fan. They're good. Look, man.
Their outfits are
it's tremendous.
Outrageous.
It's tremendous. It's so funny that there's people on wrestling Twitter that think they're dunking on them. Then we're like, look how not cool these guys are. It's like, yeah. I know, right? Like, it's almost like they're heels trying to make you hate them. Like, almost.
Yeah.
Almost, right?
It's really good.
I honestly, they're kind of on that list for me, bro, of like, I kind of eye roll at people that pretend they're bad. Like, if you don't love them and they're not for you, that's fine. I understand that. They're a very specific type of wrestling, but pretending they're actively bad, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I can take you seriously. Anyway, up next we had the segment of the year. As a segment that came directly out of Tony Khan's bedroom, and when it appeared on the graphic, it terrified me because I knew what Conan was going to do with this segment. I thought it would be terrible. It was not. It was the Conan Tully Blanchard deal. And as I mentioned with our friend Stephen Jensen last night, Conan does this thing where he just doesn't cooperate. He refuses to cooperate. He just will do what he's intended to say, and no matter what you say, I'll be like, yeah, that's cool, how about this? And I just go. and he was in peak Conan form in that regard here. Like, he was doing it to the utmost degree. And as he starts and he's doing the thing, he's continuing on the road they set about the whole, like, upbringing thing they were doing, right? As soon as he said racial profiling, Tully Blanchard was fucked. Like, it was like the end of the segment. Tully knew he had nowhere to go from there. And then he's, like, giving statistics, and he's, like, incarcerated 6 times more than their white brethren. And Tully's standing there, like, it was the most tremendous thing I've ever seen. And then, like, he says this, and Tully's like, he grabs the mic and goes, "You've had enough," like he's a drunk or something. And he goes, "No, I've not had enough. I've got a few more lines to hit." He just refuses to play ball. It's so funny. And then he does, like, I think he does the Tessa line later.
Yeah.
When Tully responds, like, of course Tully just has wrestling stuff to say. He's like, "Yeah, man, like, my guys would beat you up if I wanted them to." Like, he has no comments on racial profiling, of course. He's Tully Blanchard. What's he going to say about that? So he just does, like, a wrestling promo, and Conan's like, "That's cool. Let me go back to talking about being outstanding in our field and all that." She's like, he's outrageous. He's very good, by the way. He's not being critical. He just pops me because he does this consistently.
Dude, Conan is great because, like, do you listen to his podcast?
No, dude.
So I can't say that I actually listen to it, but, like, their YouTube channel, it's just, I'm gonna pull up his YouTube channel right now. The clips that they, like, clip, it's amazing that he is still, like, Conan was advertised. He was advertised, like, day of. I did enjoy the LAX music. People have mentioned that, but, like, the fact that they got the LAX music, so tremendous.
Yes.
So
it's actually an underrated, great theme.
It's a great theme. Dude, like, some of these clips, this is what they're titled. Conan goes off on AEW's poor booking of Hangman. Like, on his show, he will just, like, bury the fuck out of, like, AEW stuff. It's like, yeah, just come on and do your shit. Like, Conan on dealing with Tony Schiavone, Conan on AEW's annoying habit. Like,
tremendous.
He buries this company on his podcast all the time, and it's still just like, yeah, come on, you know, get your shit in on our show. It's great. Like, bless this man.
Like, I was watching it with my brother, and I was like, bro, not taping this is insane. And I watched it, it was great. Like, it's amazing what happens, Jeremy, when you just trust creativity and you let people cook. Like, you just said all the reasons that you may not want to trust Conan to talk on the mic, and it's like, no, he's fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, he does all of this, and the best part of this angle by far was when Tully's like, "Look up at the big screen," and beforehand Conan looks around, looks at Dex and Cash, and he's like, "Yes, that is Santana and Ortiz." That is indeed the Santana and the Ortiz that are standing in front of me here with their masks and shit. Like, it's tremendous. Obviously, this night is FTR, they pile driver him in one of the funniest pile drivers in the history of wrestling, easily. And then Tully is like, in the most real moment in wrestling recent memory, Tully's like, "Boom! How's that, big boy?" Like, "Set your ass down, you piece of shit," as might as well have said. It was like, he could tell in that moment Tully was channeling his inner feelings when Conan goes, "No, I haven't had enough yet. Let me keep talking about your daughter and shit." Like, this was great pro wrestling, man. Like, honestly, I ain't even gonna do the comparison shit. Like, I don't need to. When was the last time any two performers in a non-AEW territory had that kind of promo back and forth that felt as real as this one did, bro? Seriously. And I'm not even talking about just WWE, bro. Give me Impact. Like, everyone's doing all this pretty dialogue. I watched this and was like, these two guys felt there was a animosity there. I believed it. It was tremendous, right? It's a great segment.
This segment was so good. I'm with you on Conan. Like, just let this man come in and just talk. I don't know if Conan can be traveling every week and stuff. At least I don't know if he should be traveling every week. But, like, we think that the Proud and Powerful split with Inner Circle is coming at some point, and, like, I just put Conan with these dudes, right?
Yeah, it's great. It's a great dynamic, and they also, like, when he talks about being a dad to those guys, like, they really do love him. They really do adore him, and that's cool. Because for all the stuff we just said about his podcast, and he says this and he says that, it's like, dude, they really do look up to him, and he looked after them. That's very cool to me. I mean, look, the LAX team was an iconic piece of Impact promotion, if nothing else, and he trusted those guys to carry it forward. That's pretty cool, right? That's pretty damn cool. So there you go. Great segment. Being Tony Khan, he transitions this into being like, here's Dante Martin, here he is. Like, he doesn't. There's no time for you to like see.
I
this
didn't
again.
like that. Like they cut away from Conan, and then it's like, all right, let's spend 2 minutes on Jim Ross and Excalibur sitting here talking about that. Like, can you not like keep the camera on the ring?
It's like, okay, wrestling legend Conan just got murdered by a pile driver. Cut to Jim Ross to be like, the bunny is wrestling tonight. You know, like he just like he's not. There's no time for these things to breathe apparently, which is. It's definitely not a compliment, but it does pop me ironically at this juncture because it's just like I expect it. Like the best one ever will always be Daniels and Kazarian.
Yeah.
And them being split, they've just been like, meanwhile, Moxley running around is so funny. This was a match from Matt Sydal. First, we had the Andrade thing, which, as Jeremy complimented me on last night, was a thing I absolutely called. Know what we're doing around here, folks. The perfect match for him, and this match kind of showed why. I did not see these guys have that match on the dark. But I like this match very much. Very simple stuff. Babyface opening, the guys doing the wrestling exchanges. I don't think they ever actually did the thing where you stop and stare at each other and put your hands up and everyone claps. But they did everything but that. Dante Martin is like, he's amazing in the most simple ways, right? Like the sunset flip's the obvious example. But he even did that when he did the double springboard moonsault. Like that's a very elaborate, intricate move, but in his hands it looked like the most simple shit ever. It looked like you and I could do it, like he just floated through the air. It was incredible. And Sydal is smart enough to feature all of that stuff. It wasn't excessive either, because Sydal was too smart for that. And the thing is, I have to stress this, one of the most understated kind of like in-ring tales of not just AEW, the last few years, honestly, like Sydal has really evolved as a performer, like bell to bell, man. Like, because you know this, Jeremy, you're a veteran of the game. Once upon a time, Sydal was the ultimate flippy guy. He was like the most electric high flyer in the industry. And he still can do a lot of that stuff physically, I think, because he still looks great and he moves great. His style is like matured. So he's still flashy and cool, but he's grounded now and he has this kind of veteran style. It's so awesome. Like, when they signed him, my take was generally just, he's a great pro wrestler, but they don't really need another one of those. No, man, I was wrong. He's added a lot because he can guide guys like this through matches easily every day of the week. So that's a thumbs up. They go back and forth some, and in the break, so I have the fight. So the stuff in the break, I get, and not all of it is worth watching. To be quite frank, it's
I watched the live feed on TNT. I watched the replay. It was the fight replay.
Right, there you go. Well, one of these matches, I think that was a plus. This one, Sydal just did a bit of control stuff, and it's like, it's a 10-minute TV match. What do you want him to do?
Yeah.
I get it. But then when they came back in the break, naturally, Martin goes into the comeback, and this is when you really get a sight of just like how spectacular it is. And I've got to go back to it. The sunset flip, holy shit, right? I mean, what a beautiful, just visual that was. That was incredible. So you had that deal, and then in the end, the finish was effectively like Sydal was a step ahead, he invaded or whatever, did a kick, he's finished, won. It was sudden in the sense that it was almost framed as though he had survived by just being a little bit smart, Like, Martin will catch him one day, but for now, he's got it figured out. I think he's so perfect for Andrade because he has the flash to make it a thriller, but he has the experience to make Andrade comfortable, and not only just like general experience, he's a WWE TV guy too. So like, Andrade can even rest and go back into his comfort zone of what he's done the last few years in America, because it's like, whatever they need to do, man, they can do it. Andrade was really good at the American TV style matches, like he can do anything. These two can have a range of different matches. I don't think they're going to have their best one here because that's not the idea, right? It's Andrade's debut, but I think they're going to have a 10-minute match that's restrained and will showcase and feature Andrade perfectly, which is what to me the goal is. Tremendous. Good point, sorry, basically. This is the style of the Mike Sydal push and not the Andrade one. Good call. But
I did wonder if they were going to do Mike against Andrade instead of Matt.
Like cowards.
I would imagine they go with Matt, but maybe you do both of them, right? Maybe you do the Mike match and then maybe you do the Matt match. So
after this one, did you like the match, Jeremy?
I thought it was good. Did you know that Dante Martin's only 20 years old, Joseph?
So I saw JR put, is this like a meme? Or am I missing something?
I think it's like a meme.
Say it a lot. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's like.
I mean, he is pretty impressive. That's very young.
It is, dude. Like it is like a meme thing, like a joke, but like, dude, he's 20 years old and he's wrestling like high level television matches already.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's pretty impressive. It's good for him. Hopefully his
Jungle
brother.
Christian.
Hopefully his brother.
Yes. Yeah, they're a really fun team, right? And at that age, you don't want one guy missing time because the other one's going to obviously evolve. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
The Jungle Boy and the Christian did a classic like Russo segment where they just convince you that someone's turning heel. Like you left this segment like, oh, Christian's totally turned on him. I'm glad they didn't do that on this show. It's definitely happening though, right? Like it's.
You think so?
He's turning on Jungle Boy, bro. Like he's gonna be bitter, dickhead Christian, and it's gonna rule. And you and I are gonna pop so huge for it and pitch that he wins the world title.
I think it's gonna be a while though, right? Like.
All out, baby. That's when they'll work.
Okay, that's all. Oh, they're gonna work it all out.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so. I actually think what they'll do is that Christian will wrestle Kenneth on a special. And then after the match, like Christian will just lose, and it'll be a great bout. And Jungle will be there to be like, it's cool, man. You know, I lost too. Nothing wrong with that. And he'll just kick the shit out of him and be like, shut the fuck up, you little dork. That's what I would do. Shut the fuck. You just leave me alone, man. I'm not 23 like you. I'm a grown man.
I can see it. I still think that Christian and Omega should headline the first Rampage. I don't know if they can hold it off that long because it seems like, especially with the end of this show, like it seems like they're going more and more onto that to where like they're going to do this at one of these July specials. But yeah, I can see where the Christian turn goes with the Jungle Boy and then they do it at All Out. I'm fine with that. Heel Christian's great, so
he's great. I mean, I love Baby. He's just great person, but he as a character, the heel version is tremendous.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance the Rampage debut is Orange and Kenny because they still have that, and I know Orange is going to go off and do something with the Blade and probably win a TV match, but like they've constantly every time Kenny does stuff, they remind like, hey man, without Don Callis, Orange is the champ right now. You know, like I think they can use that. So we'll see. I hope they don't forget about it.
Oh man, if it's Orange Cassidy and Kenny for Rampage, I'm definitely going to that show.
Yeah, man, that's the kind of match that they're gonna be. There's gonna be people on this earth, Jeremy, that convince themselves that sucks, and I feel so bad for them.
And those people are fucking morons.
Yes, we should fight them in St. Louis for full gear.
We'll do that.
We're just gonna go around and fight people.
Yeah. Russell Crowe.
Hang on a second, you like Seth Rollins? You know, I'm joking. I'm just kidding, guys. Good lord.
I'm gonna swerve people, Joseph. I'm gonna have the glove on. I don't like high five people, but like, yeah, Seth Rollins. Like, no, fuck that dork, and then punch people.
That would get clipped and posted on like so many Twitter accounts as like these AEW guys are nuts.
Wearing my Luther shirt the whole time as well. Be great.
Tremendous. Looking like true like lunatic, like a complete insane person. To a Jade Cargill Smart Mark deal.
She's that
and
bitch.
Mark, she is indeed that bitch, and you know, just an incredible star presence. But Mark I love this act, dude. Like I think they could do with my concern with Jade, and I think it's a fair one, was they brought her in at such a high level, but they knew she needed experience. So like you have to do this shit where you steady the ship and just go slow for a while. And it's hard because I think the audience generally wants to see Jade in title programs and stuff, and I don't think they're ready to do that with her yet. But I love the act. I love the dynamic of Mark almost working for her rather than like this sort of, manager shouts at restaurant. It's very much like, I've got you this promotional deal now. You know, like can you hold this for me? I like that stuff. I also like that you pointed out that wrestling fans are fat because yes, we are. I mean, you're not generally. I speak for the masses here, very large people, which is fine. The MJF did a segment which led to the Inner Circle, which we talked about earlier, but I do want to say, you guys know the kind of broad perspective of this, but I do want to say that they need to do more segments that are set up like this, where a wrestler is getting interviewed and the live crowd can react to what they're saying. It isn't completely studio vibes, but it's a lot better to me than like the full-on pre-tapes where guys are standing in front of a wall. Like, I think it's better. I really do like the promo setup here. And this was, in fairness, a hot angle in a feud that has had very few actual hot angles to me. Like, this one had energy to it, you know, and when Sammy made that save, I wasn't fired up because I'm an adult, but I was like, that's pretty cool. And then he got a decent little promo, and I think it added heat and it added energy and excitement for the match, which is all you can do. I'm all for that. Anra said, Jade's going to beat Britt in a Cody Brody-esque squash. I like that a lot. I thought that for a long time could be a good way to switch Britt babyface, like, for good. She kind of feels like she's on the road to that. But like,
yeah, a first feud coming out of the title program is Nyla Rose. Like, that's It's a total babyface feud. The way that whole thing happened was like, that was just a weird segment in general. But like, this feels like Britt going on the road to babyface, and they're gonna be in Pittsburgh. She's gonna get a big reaction. I don't know.
Pittsburgh.
Sorry, I keep fucking that up. I'm sorry.
It's fine, Jim. You'll get it eventually. Okay, so yeah, Yuka could be a good but that would definitely not make Britt a babyface though. No. She's not working heel. Not happening. Miro did an awesome promo where he talked about his wife being flexible and talked about Jesus and all that stuff, and he's just some right now.
Miro might be my favorite wrestler in the world right now.
And it's crazy how quick that's changed. Like we've always been high on him as a talent, right? I had my concerns for a while that he was just not the same outside of that system. Like, he's figured it out now, and he's the best version of himself by such a distance, it's actually, like, embarrassing. Like, this version of him is so much better than any we've ever seen before, right? Like, it's incredible now.
You know I was high on Miro, like, even with the video game stuff. I fucking took him in our draft just to, like, get him when I could have had any tag team. But I liked Miro so much. I was like, yeah, sure, let's just take Kip Sabian. Like, I thought the act had some potential. And it was just like, all right, whatever. They did what they did. I actually thought they could have done more with it, but the video game stuff was fun. And then they did the Arcade Anarchy, which I thought was a lot of fun. And then everything after that, since the turn and whatnot, he's been on a different level, man. This God's favorite athlete shit, like, it's great because, like, you know he believes it and stuff. But it's fun for me because I hate when athletes are like, oh yeah, I just got to thank God for, helping us to victory. It's so fucking good. Miro rules.
See, this is one of those things where, last night I had that comment, which I'm glad our show isn't VOD because people get mad about, where I said I hate the word character, and I get why it's a thing. To me, this is a great example of like what a wrestling character is, right? Like, he just basically has like a persona, and he uses certain phrases that's like his personality right now. Like, he says that shit, and that tells you about who he is and the way he delivers it. It doesn't have to be a high art, character graph. This is what he believes in, and what he stands for. It's like, no, man, he's just like a lunatic who has got this weird, like, sociopathic sense that he's doing right by the world. Simple, job done. We move on. We watch him kick ass. I loved it. It was great. By the way, I should say, I put over the promo set before. Some guys can do these pre-tapes. He obviously is one of them. These are way better for him, right? Like, the setup here of him sitting there with the belt across. That stuff's good. I just don't like the ones where it's, like, really basic to me. I don't think it works. But there you go. This one was great. Yes, the Ethan Page, the Bear Bronson. We've done enough about Ethan Page tonight, so I'll rein this in, because my notes are much more celebratory than they will be now. But he was wonderful in this match, man. He really was. He would talk some shit and then he'd cower. He was like an old school heel. He's just great at getting heat in front of a live crowd. Like, he's one of those guys that you go, oh, he's a good promo, good work, a decent look, and it's like, but then you see him in action in front of people, and he just gets over, man. And people don't like him. He just comes across like a dickhead. It's great. Which is funny because, as you said, Jeremy, when you see him outside of this setting, he seems like the most affable, likable guy.
Yeah.
You'll see, like, that's that isn't the gig here, and that's what I enjoy about him. So naturally, as the big baby face, Bronson's soon kicking ass. It seemed as though Ethan was struggling with cramp at one point. I don't know if this was like some sort of elaborate mid-match sell, but he looked like he was seriously struggling. So there's that. Scorpio took the big dive, like I did the old, take a bullet for him thing. And then they cut him off where, he went this way, backed into the other man that's called a bear. And then the Scorpio Sky got involved. And then Jim Ross goes, they're probably the most effective team in all of AEW. And Tony Schiavone was like, yeah. He's like, we got some great ones. I was like, yep, they probably shouldn't say that while you've got like two of the great heel teams in the last 15 years, but I get it, man. He's putting the act over, that's fine. To be fair, Ethan does strike me as the kind of guy that Jim would enjoy, I can hear him selling him. 6'2", 220, like he's going through the lineup. Did he play football? Doesn't strike me as a Canadian, so no, probably not. That's a shame. He played football.
They got the CFL.
Does Ethan strike you as a football player, I guess is my point here.
No, not really. No.
That sucks. Ethan, figure that out. Jim will be much higher on you.
He's Canadian. You just got to assume hockey. Jim Ross ain't watching hockey.
Yeah. Jim says, fuck hockey. That's what Jim says. But anyway, they go to the break, the picture-in-picture, whatever the hell, and Ethan's not a fucking mark, so he just grabs a hold and chills out for a bit. He's a very good attention to detail guy. It can be things as subtle as Ethan has always got over was always got over the shoulder tackle. He loves doing the shoulder tackle and little guys bumping for him. So he does that here, and naturally Bronson doesn't bump for him, so he had to do it twice. And Excalibur pointed out, and that's just simple shit that pops me. And it's like one of those things that you notice subconsciously. It makes Bronson look more badass than he would if he just took a bump. He's at this point getting genuine heat, and people are like actively mad that he's beating up Bear Bronson, which rules. He taunts a little long. Bronson makes a comeback. They go back and forth some, including a superplex where Ethan Page appeared to save Bronson's life. Like, he slipped and then Ethan just yanked him. It was pretty impressive strength-wise. And then you had the finish, which is, as we talked about last night, Jeremy, an absolute masterpiece. The camera did not get it live as they should have, but we got a slow-mo shot of the greatest dick shot in the history of wrestling. Just Tyson uppercut, boom, straight to the dick. And then he did the Ego's Edge, which is also an awesome finish on a big man. It's an awesome finish on anyone, but a big man especially. It looked awesome.
Yes.
Then he cut a promo, and I know everyone's upset about the watch chance, but I'm going to be honest with you, I think that shit, even that works for Ethan, because it's like, they just want him to shut up. I don't think it's immediately a thing where it's like, let's throw him out of the arena and kick the shit out of him. I thought it was fine here. It didn't bother me at all. Because if Ethan wanted to cut them off, he wouldn't have been talking in that tone. He's fine with it. It's heat. I don't think it bothered him. It didn't bother me. Promo was great. I'm pumped for whatever the fuck this coffin match looks like, because this ain't going to be an Undertaker casket. Darby's going to do some insane shit in this match, bro. It's going to be a very different take on the match you and I are expecting, I feel. So that's fun.
Dude, Darby, I feel like he's going to take the Edge into the coffin. Just full on take it right into that coffin.
See, it feels to me that Darby's winning, and I'm thinking, how does he do... can he do, how does he do a coffin drop into a coffin? How can he do this without just, ruining the finish? Could they just draw? Could they just do a coffin drop and, the things... Yeah, let's do that. I mean, there should be lots of coffins, to be honest. They should, line them up and have, ladder matches have 25 ladders, and you just break loads of them? That's what they should do here. That's my take.
So how about, all right, so he does it into the coffin. Maybe not into the coffin. Maybe he does... Maybe he does it on, the coffin's closed, and Paige just throws him, and he does Shawn Michael he does the Shawn Michael back gimmick, and I mean hopefully it turns out better for him. But I'm with you. Darby's gonna do some dumb shit on this, bless him. But he's gonna crash onto a closed coffin one way or another. I don't know how. He's gonna crash onto a closed coffin.
So the chat seems to think that Ethan's winning this match, which obviously as a fan, I'm all in on. But the only way I could see that happening personally, you guys could be very much right, I've got these wrong before, but the only way I could see that happening personally is if next week there's a segment where Sting is like, bro, you ain't ready to be doing this sort of match. And we have another case of, teenage son, Darby, being like, shut up, Dad, let me play, that kind of thing. If they do that, Ethan can win, and you can keep building this weird... Not weird, I actually really like it, but the story that's kind of Darby's so desperate to get out from under Sting's shadow that he's damaging himself for the sake of it. I could see them doing that here. It actually maybe would make sense. So the chat very well could be correct, but I also agree with Tope Suicida's point. This kind of could be Darby's signature match if it hits. So there's a lot here. I think he'll kill it. Is the point? That's what matters.
Sting's going to be part of this match in some way, right?
I would think so. Yeah.
Last show at Daly's place, and you got to have a Sting appearance.
This match is. This isn't Wednesday.
Oh, it's at Fyter Fest or Road Rage. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. All right. Well, it's regardless then. First show back on the tour.
Even more so.
Yeah. So
just make sure you don't get too excited, Jeremy. That's all.
Why am I not getting too excited?
Because you get fired up for these Darby Allin matches.
I love the Sting. You know that. I love Sting. Darby Allin's the biggest draw in the company. So.
Factual. There you go. The demographics.
Yeah.
There's a brick promo, guys. Look, Nyla and Vicky responded. This feud needs help, and it's just end and just leave me alone. I've had enough. It needs, to be honest. There's a lot of bigger issues that I still think exist, but just for the sake of short-term momentum and buzz, it could really do with this being a swerve and it not being Vicky, because this feud is struggling to me, and them just doing a Vicky Guerrero match is not going to help that at all. It isn't working, and it hasn't worked. To me, it hasn't worked since day one, because the first segment was the McDonald's one, and that was the shits. I don't know, man. I have bigger takes.
It's gonna be Zelina, and then they're going to be on Twitch, and they're going to bury the sheets for being like, we were at the Performance Center.
Rag sheets and stuff.
Fightful this, brother, and then toss it into the... Select this and throw it.
I'm going to do this, and I shouldn't, because I know you're a big fan, and I think we need to like be careful with this Britt Baker stuff. It's my take. I've seen some stuff, and I very seldom listen. People being a little bit over the top with the praise should not make me be negative. So I want to stress first, I think Britt's a tremendous talent, and with time she'll be a perfect centerpiece already. At this juncture, though, when I see stuff about her being the best promo in professional wrestling, I'm like, hey, rein it in. I like when she does the DMD. It's not called her the best promo in wrestling. Let's give it some time. She has great polish and poise. She'll figure it out. But I think this feud is like, we need to help her more than just be like, she's a megastar. Let's just put someone next to her and it'll be fine. Like, no, man. She's going to need stuff. In the same way, next match, Bunny and Christina. I think this was a fine match. A good match, actually. I think the Bunny's underrated. I really do believe that. Like, they've got to do better. I'm not going to do the women's division thing because it's so exhausted, and too many people use it as just, like, a bad faith. Like, this is why I don't actually watch AEW, you know? The way they treat women. I like companies that treat their women correctly, so I watch SmackDown. But, like, at the same time, this match and last week's match were just, like, cold matches that set up men's matches, which is, like... Listen, guys, I ain't here like fly a flag or get mad at anyone, but like probably shouldn't do that. Like, here's what I would say. Sorry, Jim. One last thing. Okay. When Rampage is up and running, they need to shoot for 3 televised women's matches. Currently, they do 1 every week on Dynamite.
The 9.
I would like to reach 3 across that 3 hours. That's all I would ask for. But carry on.
The problem with Britt, first off, you're blasphemous by slandering the GOAT Britt Baker. The problem is it does feel very much of like, all right, we'll put the title on her. You guys, like, we're good. Just put her out there. She's fine. Everything's good. And it's like, you gotta, like, follow up to that, guys. Can't be giving her Lacey Evans in her first program here after doing this. So, like, the Nyla Rose thing, like, even before the segment, like, take the segment out, what it was. Like, it sucked. But, like, just having Nyla Rose as our first program, weird call, right? Like, you haven't done anything with Nyla, and she's a heel. Britt's a heel. Like, you gotta have something in place here for Britt, and I think that's a disservice to her because she has been so good, and so during the pandemic, and I really do think they just thought like, all right, it's Britt, you know, it'll be fine, it'll be great, but like, you got to do more. And then the women's stuff, like, it was the same thing when Sheeta was like, it's very much the Britt show. Of like, if Britt's not doing anything, the rest of that division, there ain't really much going on.
The thing with the Nyla stuff is she beat Britt in the tournament, so it feels like that should be the story rather than all this other whole shit about, you know, burgers and Vicky, and she'd just be like, she's beat her before. To me,
but like they haven't. Maybe they have referenced it, but
they haven't made a point of it. I agree.
Right, they haven't made a point of it, and again, like.
But yeah,
it's a heel versus heel dynamic, and like they haven't. All right, so she beat her in the tournament, which probably aired on YouTube or something. Maybe it was on Dynamite. I don't know, but like they haven't done anything with Nyla. Like, when was Nyla on Dynamite last? Before this feud?
Yeah, I don't know. And also, it is worth saying Sheeta not being on Dynamite since she lost the belt is that's not ideal. You know, she was the champ for a year. And, like, if you were doing just, like, a reset of her, you would just not have her on Dark and stuff. So, I would recommend against that.
So, here's the thing, Joseph. She was on Dynamite. The Hirsch thing was after... she beat Layla Hirsch after the Britt feud started, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, she did a tag team match where she teamed with the Bunny. And then she lost this was in March, mind you. And she lost a singles match to Tay Conti in March. Yeah,
and I remember that being a moment for Tay Conti, and I don't know if we've seen much of her on Dynamite since either. It's not ideal. And the other thing is I was talking to my friend at Rose Plant and all that good stuff. I forget there's like underscores in there, but my friend. And we were talking about it, and I said, look, here's my honest take on it. I think their problem right now is they book it like a miniature version of how they book the men, in the sense that rather than just doing like feuds that make sense, they're so scared to just beat people
Yeah.
Like they book it like the men, because with the men they don't often just pair like star versus star. But I was like, the issue with that is they haven't got enough depth to do that with women. You're going to have to give stuff way more with women, because otherwise, bless the bunny, who again, let me read, I think is underrated. Everyone in the world knew the result of this match, and it isn't adding much substance-wise to the division. They've got to do a better job of just sacrificing star versus star matchups here and doing angles and programs with the women. They just have to. And again, look, you guys know I'm not doing this as bad faith. I love AEW, right? I mean, it's the only shit I actually watch. I ain't going to sit here and keep pretending this stuff's like, oh my god, it's got so much better. It's got better. The roster looks better. Whole long way to go, though, guys. A whole long way to go. And JJ Sheeta's been on Dark, so it ain't even like they're doing an angle where it's like she's gone away. She's not been on Dynamite. That's indefensible. That's bad. She was champ for a year, you know. So it's worth saying. I say all this to say, look, these were a good match, and I'll cover it here briefly because I need to get ready to watch Elevation like a fucking mark. But the Bunny can really sell some, and Statlander has offense. You pair those two things together, you're going to get a pretty fun match. It was a seamless fit. In fairness, this is the best I've ever seen. Anna's correct here. The issue is that they had to get every single woman over. There was no ready-made stars, but then they don't give enough TV time to go. But I agree with that, and I also think the issue was all of these other guys have these like existing stories, right? Like the elite stuff is a saga in itself. You know, FTR and Young Bucks was set up before AEW existed. With the women, it's like they're starting from zero, and they've not done a good enough job of making that change. Britt and Thunder Rosa, if we're being honest, is the only true feud they've managed to piece together. Would you agree? Maybe
Yes.
I'm being unfair.
No.
Feud-wise, it feels that way. I do think it would benefit division to get some tag matches or something. And I agree, man. Like, look, there's something we said for featuring range here. But I think right now the division would most benefit from here are our core 4, maybe 6, 7, 8, whatever. Let's let them do some feuds and, like, focus on them. It isn't like the men. That's all I'm trying to say. And that's fine. You can book them differently and actually for the better. Like, he's doing this thing where it's like, well, we don't want to beat Chris Statler. She can't feud with, you know, Jade or whoever. It's like, you can beat Chris. It'll be fine, I promise. It's not, you know, the world won't end. But nonetheless, I will say the Bunny was the best I've seen here for her in terms of when she was in control. She had some spire, and her offense isn't particularly physical, but, you know, she really was committed here. And I like the way she was sprinkling some character work throughout. She's always been good at that stuff, man. She throws herself into these roles, and I think she's a really just fun pro wrestling character. I really do. She's tremendous. She's not someone you want to have, you know, 15-minute matches with weekly, but, like, she's a nice addition to the show and the division. Statlander is so much better since she came back too, and she's got that thing that Britt had when she first came back of, like, their stuff just looks way crisper and sharper because they've locked into what the performance is. They've surrounded themselves with smart enough people that, like, have made them really focus in. Yeah, Ruby's a big one, by the way, guys. Like, watch what happens with Ruby, because if they miss on that and they don't make an attempt, I mean, there's a dialogue to be started. I do. But we'll cover that when it happens, right? I've said it before.
I mean, if they make an attempt, like, they'll get her, right?
That's what I mean. And so it would almost be more of an indictment if they tried and failed, because it would tell you how much they offered her. So, like, I love Ruby. If they miss on that one, it will feel like there's a lack of focus to me. But we'll cover that when it happens, because I've said before, Jeremy's with me on this. We assume every name of note will end up there. We just do at this point. We'll be surprised when it doesn't happen. So that's that. Yeah, Statlander, she's locked in, man, and she did a power slam on the floor, which, God bless, is certainly a thing to do on television. Come back, all of it looked good. The Bunny hit a goddamn German suplex off the middle rope, Jeremy. A German suplex off the middle rope. Going to the finish, which was to set up a men's feud, which, again, I get why people are mad about that. I understand it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's not, like, a thing. But it was very funny when Orange put the nuts into his pocket. And then, you know, Statlander got the win and all that good stuff. They did an angle afterwards to set up seemingly a Blade singles match, which, oh fucking hell. Good match, man. They worked really hard. I want to stress that all of my criticism is not aimed at them. They did the most for their TV time. I enjoy watching both of them. So I guess it was good to see Chris get a TV win, even if the focus was elsewhere in the end. But yeah, Jeremy, did you enjoy this one?
It was fine.
Good job. Anra says it will be a big moment when AEW get their first real ace woman defector from the Fed. He's talking about Alexa Bliss there, so I appreciate that. Yeah, man, Trent getting surgery. So I saw someone, I wish I could remember who it was, but someone was like, hey, this is terrible news, but how great is it AEW exists and this guy can just actually, like, get paid and chill? You know, like, my God. My God, Manny says Buddy Murphy is going by the name Buddy Matthews. What the fuck? Wasn't his name before Matt Silver? Couldn't he have just been Matt Murphy? Is that better? I don't know.
Buddy
Matthews. What? I can't believe I'm pretending Buddy Matthews is bad when I rock with Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler.
Is he Boy Meets World? Oh, damn it. I am Crackerjack. Made that joke. Corey's brother.
Bud Murph's a bad man. He's bad. That man was cutting weight and having bangers. He's a bad man.
Can he just go by Bud Murph? Like
he's
jacked.
He's gonna come in as a Braun Strowman cosplayer.
Stacked and jacked.
Some serious dude right there, man. Listen,
clanging and banging.
Buddy Matthews, wherever he goes, I'm watching. So yeah, that match happened. We liked it. QT did a promo. I actually think QT's a good talker, and I think I'm not allowed to say that, so that's very sad. Brian Pillman is okay. He did a promo, and then did the King and Penta thing, and I do still laugh every time he says Penta says. So that happened. This was just mere minutes before Eddie Kingston shot on the World Wrestling Federation and brought Vince McMahon to his knees, folks. So, worth noting that. Main event, Jeremy. Main event. The King of the V-Trigger, as you affectionately name him. Kenneth Omega, the Jungle Boy. We spoke about this, and we were both pretty fired up. We said, listen, man, let's get a simple match here, you know? This should be like Kenneth's take on a Ric Flair title defense. Just give me something that's like just core pieces emphasized. That's exactly what I did, and I think it was kind of forced on Kenny, because bless him, he looks fucked up right now. But Kenny, if you're watching, I know you're watching, rest a little bit, pal. This business is not worth getting. He physically looks like he's hurting. So there's that, I guess.
He's had to carry this entire company on his back for almost a year now, Joseph.
I have to be honest, Jeremy, and you might disagree, but I was watching him in this match and I was thinking to myself, does he want it bad enough? Because it's hard to say, right, guys? Hard to say. No, this is an incredible run, and if we're being honest about it, it's probably his last run of this ilk, ever. And I don't say that to be like a dick. I mean, I think in his mind, this is like the last stand of artistic top guy Kenny Omega. I really believe that. I think after this, he'll have fun, he'll wrestle. I don't know, man. Some of the stuff he said in recent years, I don't think he's desperate to do another decade of this sort of stuff. I really don't. But we'll see. This match was great. I loved it. So anyway, you got this idea. Very simple one. Kenny basically earlier is trying Big Brother, the Jungle Boy, basically. He's to disrespect and he's slapping him on the head. He does the thing with the hair and all that good stuff. So you have that idea, contrasted and opposite.
Fightful.
Jungle Boy, who has, because he's a fan almost of Kenny's work, has all of his stuff scouted. Nif Mang is now following. Thank you, Nif Mang. See that, Jeremy? See that professionalism from me there?
Tremendous. Very good.
This didn't sound sincere, but I thought it was, which is even better. But anyway, he's got him scared. He's got all the answers early, and he's just building momentum. They go to a break here, and I don't know if you kind of bad enough to change the spot, Jeremy, but you watched the fight feed today.
Yes.
There weren't no breaks to be taken for these two, because Kenny did a back suplex on the steps, did a back suplex into the crowd. He was just rolling, doing his thing. They didn't change the pace. The pace of the whole thing was tremendous. It really was great. Jungle Boy beats the count. Kenny is really pretty restrained. He does some stuff on the back. It's all pretty classical and traditional stuff as a heel, and he's letting Jungle Boy shine. And that was what the purpose of the match always should have been. I'm glad Kenny did it. I was quietly confident he would. I had fears that it would be just, let's do our best shit. It wasn't that. Kenny wrestled pretty much within himself until it got time to really go into overdrive for the finish. So nonetheless, Jungle Boy, the match really kind of goes through the gears when he has the little sequence where he gets a bunch of roll-ups for false finishes, and Kenny was doing the old 2.9 kick out. And that's when the drama really filled up. There was a nice moment where in transition, Jungle Boy did a drop kick to the leg, which obviously snare trap, that was the night. Just that, you don't have to do extended portion, but it was a nice little kind of game planning element. He then did all the dives, which were, so whenever anyone does 3 straight dives, there's a range between cool and insane. I never quite figure out which. Sometimes it looks silly, if the dives haven't got much on them, it doesn't always look great. But there you go, he did them. The last one was great. Kenneth then did that suplex off the top where he hooks the leg, and they took that awesome shot where they shot behind the Jungle Boy's mother, and it was wow, they really captured the high. It was awesome. So you had that. now Jungle Boy starts doing the Rich Swann kickouts, where he's just like doing the flailing the arm up, which when Rich Swann did it caused an immense case study on his cardiovascular system, which was very funny. Now, Jeremy, Kenneth has not done one V-trigger. He's like, now I will do nothing but V-triggers. And he just kicks the shit out of Jungle Boy with V-triggers. But Jungle Boy's always got an answer. On 2 occasions he had great counters for the one-winged angel. One was the Poison Rana deal, which Kenny that looked incredible. And the other was the roll-up, which was a great false finish. The momentum swings at this point are like truly dramatic. Like look, coming in this match, we all knew what the situation was. But as Jensen pointed out last night, they truly got you to believe here down the stretch on the false finishes. When 2 hit the mat, you were like, deep breath. And that's all you can do. It's tremendous. You had the little spot with the Good Brothers where the Elite Hunter run them off. This is one of my favourite gimmicks. It's so funny to me that he just stands waiting to run in to beat up Carl Anderson. And that's very, very funny. I'm all for that. Though I do not obviously endorse it as a Bullet Club member and Machine Gun Stan. Some dipshit earlier, Jeremy, they go, LOL, AEW's given up so much on Elevation that they're now advertising Carl Anderson singles matches. And I was like, I'm literally watching any show Carl Anderson wrestle singles matches on, so go fuck yourself. But anyway, wasn't gotten to it all about that, guys. So yeah, he runs them off, and they're back to square one, and it's like fighting spirit shtick, all that good stuff, strike exchange. Jungle Boy gets the snare trap again. Kenneth uses the hair to cheat, which apparently has caused the whole discourse because someone tried to analyse this and got called like an asshole for it. I don't know. I just was told this was a thing, but I like that he went back to the hair because that was one of the first things he did. I was fine with that. Then he does a counter, hits the knee to the back. Tiger Driver doesn't do it, so he just picks him up.
What did he hit to the back?
The Tiger Driver 98.
No, before that.
Oh, the V trigger. Sorry,
yes.
Not the knee.
Yeah.
V trigger. Yeah.
Make sure you call it by its correct name, Joseph.
I thought you was calling me out on the lack of year at the end of Tiger Driver. So I was wrong on both cases. But anyway, he does that. He's One-Winged Angel. I love that finish never been kicked out of, and the whole dynamic of Kenny matches is, can the guys keep countering it? Like, that pops me tremendously. Dude, this is a special run. And let's be completely honest, I don't need to keep doing this because we do it every month now. But like, a special run from a special wrestler who, when we're all old fucks, and the youth of tomorrow is talking about professional wrestling in this era, a very significant. And when you watch him do a TV main event with Jungle Boy, who says, I didn't really know what I was going to do in my life, and then I watched Kenny Omega clips, and I was like, yeah. I mean, that speaks volumes. I mean, we were talking about our friend Buddy Matthews earlier. I mean, he's basically a cosplayer. I love him. I adore the Bud Matthews, but this is a very significant, influential wrestler. We should probably appreciate him. I'm glad I am now. This gives me Clash of Champions vibes. And also, as someone in the chat pointed out, clean finish, big thumbs up. Post-match stuff, I can take or leave. Too much for me. But, whatever. Jeremy, great match, right? This was tremendous.
Fantastic match. I did like that it was clean. I thought Omega was going to work like more heelish, honestly. Like, he just kind of did his shit, which was great. I'm glad they didn't go too far in with all the bullshit and stuff. Like, I bit on... and fully bite on some of the near falls, but they were very good near falls. The crowd was certainly into it, and that's all you want, right? Yeah, Omega, dude, he's good. We always knew he was good. People want to pretend like he's not good, but he's tremendous professional wrestler. Love the V triggers. Does a lot of them. Love every single one of them.
He points before everyone, so he does. It must be said, he does. He will not do one without the point. Like, yeah. He just won't.
Joseph, what'd you think of Doc Gallows wearing the 69 jersey? Did you catch that?
Oh, God, I'm sorry. Bob O'Neill was getting himself in all sorts of trouble.
I've noticed.
Yeah, I'm terribly sorry, folks. I'm a
noticed.
professional, but I'm seeing the things that he's getting himself into, and it really concerns me as a friend of his. But anyway, I mean, it's very funny, isn't it, 69? Do you get it?
Yeah.
Very funny. Do you like the machine guns, like baseball jersey with the Good Brothers on it? Did you like that?
I do. He was wearing number 42. Do you know who that's a shout for?
No.
I'm not positive, but with pinstripes and everything, I think... Let me make sure I have this correct before I sound like an idiot.
One day we're going to interview Carl Anderson.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him if he was doing is it Major League where he does the line where he's like, if it was a hamburger, you'd catch it in regards to baseball. Machine Gun has told the story as though it was his own life, and I'll one day ask him if either A, his coach was quoting a movie, or B, Carl was just watched a film and decided that was also his life.
Dude, that was from Mighty Ducks, was it not? Like, they got it on Goldberg, and they're like, it was a hamburger, you'd stop
I watched Major Leagues. I popped, so that film's actually tremendous.
Major League fucking rules.
Like an actual, I didn't realise that was like an actual great film. You know, I know it was a cult of people love it, but no, an actual great film. Whatever film it was, someone says it in a film, don't they?
Yeah.
And I've always wondered, I will ask him, it's the only question I want to ask him. I don't talk about wrestling. I just want to be like, did you steal that or did your coach steal it? Which?
I think Anderson is referencing Mariano Rivera. Pinstripes 42, famous Yankees closer.
Okay, well, there you go.
I think. Could be wrong.
People learn a lot on these shows, don't they?
Yeah.
They get a lot out of it, you know. We don't just talk wrestling, we also go off on all these weird tangents. The Good Brothers, man. Can we talk about something? So, you know Wheeler Yuta, is he doing stuff for Ring of Honor right now still, or just...
Who?
Yuta, Wheeler Yuta.
Oh, I don't think he was doing anything in Ring of Honor. Maybe he did a couple of stunts there.
He was doing the stuff, like the pure stuff, I want to say.
Oh, sure. Nobody pays attention to that promotion, Joseph.
I know, I've learned that lesson many times.
Do you know what their world title match is in 2 weeks?
Roosh and Bandito. Oh,
good job. Did you read my article today?
Yep, I did. I'm not even going to do a bit. That's exactly what I read. It surprised me, actually. I didn't. He did pure. He was in that stuff, right? Either way, it should be noted that tonight on our Dark Elevation, an Impact guy will face a freelance, respectively, to promote a New Japan match on an AEW show. So these are the things that happen these days, folks. You should enjoy it. I thought this was a great show. My main takeaway was, man, can I not wait for these to be quarterly specials, man. Clash of Champions vibes. Like, this is... It had great energy. Big match feel for the main event.
I do...
It way over-delivered on the card. So I didn't think the card looked great. I love the show.
I do want to say this about the post-match stuff. I mean, I joked about it. Tony Khan's just booking TEW. Let's just have a bunch of people run in, you know, get them on the show and everything. I do like the kind of symmetry of, all right, you got the Christian Omega stuff, and then you got the Matt Hardy Christian stuff, and then you got like and I don't know if they're doing this on purpose, tying this stuff together, but you've got like the Elite and Matt Hardy, Joseph.
Yes.
Like, you know, this is a callback to last year when they were all baby faces. Now they're all heels. There's one guy not in that mix that's still a baby face that...
Oh, baby.
You know?
Oh, baby. And he feuded with the Matt, too?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like... I'm just kind of putting pieces together here.
So, my brother was watching, like, he goes... And it makes sense, too, because Matt's friends with those guys. And I was like... Oh, my brother's making stuff up again. I was like, he must have imagined. And I was like, oh, no, that's the same person that did the broken stuff. Like, yeah, no, you're right. I think it's very cool. I mean, I don't know if that's what they're playing on. I don't even know that's a thing. But, like, works for me, pal. It's cool. Like, I roll my eyes at the big brawl stuff because they do it so often.
Yeah, it's very
And I would have let the moment just speak for itself, but, like, it's really a very minute complaint in the grand scheme of things, you know? Like, I will say this, my bigger complaint is I don't know if I care about Christian versus Matt Hardy. That's a bigger topic.
Probably not.
But I can put up with it, you know? I mean, I think of all the matches to do with Christian, that certainly was not on my like top 50.
Dream match. Well, it's
Yeah,
like, here comes Christian to AEW. What about Matt Hardy from 20 years ago?
Right. No, exactly that. It's but, you know, Christian's entertaining enough. I'm sure I'll get something of it. But as long as it's a step towards Omega, I'm all in on Christian and Omega, dude. Like, that sounds like something special. So, there you go, folks. We have 50 minutes to elevation. We need to end the show. My laptop thought it was going to blow up.
That's okay.
Can you hear that?
No, I don't.
Oh, wow. It's very loud. This was fun. We did like 40 minutes of everything but this show, and then we did a review. We should do that more often, Jeremy. Go off on tangents and not talk about the thing we're supposed to talk about. We never do that, right?
No, usually we are very good about, you know, staying on topic.
Very good. We're professionals, right? At least I know the ROH main event. I was proud of myself. There's some serious news just happened. You look very alarmed for a moment.
I'm trying to angle myself into a Wednesday show, Joseph.
A Wednesday show? What does that mean?
I'm trying to angle myself onto Sean Ross Sapp's show on Wednesday.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good luck with that. Let's get out of here, Jeremy, so I can save this thing from dying.
Yeah, we're good. All right. We'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow.
No, I don't mean the show. I mean my laptop.
Oh, well,
the
that's
show's not die. It could never die with you and I here, pal.
True. All right. We'll be back tomorrow, 3:00, right?
Yes, 3:00. It could be a jubilant mood. It could be a tragic one. We don't know. We do know we're booking BPW. So this is third from last. We've got 2 more after this one.
Yeah.
Appreciate the ride, folks.
Yes, there's not much left with the BPW, everybody. Unfortunately, there's 3 episodes left. 3 episodes left. Begins tomorrow. The final countdown for the BPW. It's very sad.
It's gonna be emotional, man. It's gonna be very emotional. Man, you got to get ready to say goodbye to these characters.
All right, so tomorrow we will do BPW. Wednesday, I've successfully conned my way into doing Sean's show on Wednesday. Thursday, our usual show, and then the post show on Twitch, and then I'm going to North Carolina for the weekend. So y'all enjoy y'all's weekend. That's where I'll be. All right, let's see who will raid. No, I'm not doing the show with Jimmy. I'm doing the show with Sean. Jimmy is out, and so I have, because last time we did the show, like 5 minutes before we decided to go on air, WWE released a bunch of people, and so it was an odd show. It was not the over the top show that I've never interacted with Jimmy in my life. He just threatens to fire me every other week or so, but I've never had an actual interaction with him. Let's see who we're gonna raid. Megaran? We always raid Megaran. Anybody? Colt Cabana? We were out drawing Colt Cabana for a little bit, Joseph. I don't know if you saw that.
I'm going to be honest with you, Jeremy. I have no idea what you just said, because a very prominent professional wrestling media person just direct messaged me with what could either be a scoop or mere speculation as to a major piece of my professional wrestling fandom. So I will comment no further to get no one in trouble. Please conclude the show.
I assume I'm going to be told what's going on off air. We'll raid Colt Cabana. Tom said hi. Good man. Dark Order. We're not part of Dark Order. We're part of Chaos Project.
I'm part of Dark Order.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay. Good for you. All right, everybody. Y'all enjoy y'all's night. Enjoy Raw if you watch that nonsense.